everyone. This will be take two because we had a technical issue. We couldn't find our November calendar the first time. So, what we're going to do is we are going to start with our November calendars. We have with us today Warren Hart. He's our CTC astronomer. And just to give you a recap, he said that his night sky tour at the planetarium is this upcoming Saturday, correct?
Uh, let's see. Let me look here on the 12th. Nope, not
Nope,
this Saturday. The
next
sec
Saturday.
following, the 22nd.
Okay. All right. So you guys make sure to get on over to the planetarium on the 22nd for his night sky tour. And we're going to go ahead and attempt this again with our November calendar. You ready?
Very good. I'm
All right.
ready. All right, let's go ahead and you can open it up a little more if you want. And let's look at that first partial week there.
Okay.
And there you go. Now, have the usual stuff, if you will. And on the first day of the month, I've been putting in for you. Notice on November the 1st, there at the third thing that's listed is to access the CTC Library Astronomy Library Guide page. There is the link. And Cindy, if you want to show them the basic page of the web guide, there you go, and tell them what's there.
Well, we have a countdown to the eclipse. You can find all your calendars. You can find the shows over at the planetarium. We've got past night sky tours for Warren. And if you guys are into astronomy, we have books and databases. And Warren has some really cool, fun activities. Also, he's been adding some really cool stuff about eclipses, the sun, and extreme stars.
All
So,
right.
a little bit of everything astronomy on that page. And that's on
Oh,
the library's website.
good. And all of the things that we put on there, at least what I submit for the LibGuide, is PDF, so you are free to download, print it out on, and copy it onto your Word page or whatever you use, and you can print it out and have it in hand when you're going to be going out to look in the sky. Notice that we have here starting in on Wednesday is there is the first of the seven constellations for September, or for, pardon me, for November, and that's Hydras, the male water snake. There is Hydra, which is the female, and that was a previous month that we looked at it. And then there's a thing called the equation of time, and I will get a chart, if you will, a drawing for what that looks like, and it's how in synchronous with the sun, the actual sun in the sky, how does that fit up with what you're looking at on your phone for the time, or on the watch on one of your wrists for the time of coordinating which the two together. Then notice on Saturday the 5th in red, encouraging you before you go to bed that night that go ahead and do your step back, your fall back 1 hour for the change, so that unless on Sunday morning on the 6th, if you want to get up at 2 o'clock and make the change there, then that's when we have, unfortunately, our legislature will not let us choose one and stay with it all year. all the time and we don't have to change back and forth. But anyway, let's go down to that second week there,
Well,
Cindy.
we skipped looking at Hydras.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead. I was just trying to save time. So let's look at
Oh, but we
Hydras.
can't skip our constellation.
There you go. There's Hydras. Now, you notice at the top up there in the purple color is our southern horizon. So we would be looking to the south, and what that is indicating that everything from that dashed purple line up to the top, up above, so that you see the words of Horologium and Aerodynus, those two other constellations. That is how much we can see of them. And then notice on Hydrus, the male water snake, that everything from that purple line on down to the South Pole, you will not, we will not see those at all because that is below our horizon. The only way you'd be able to see it is that you have to, in some way or other, you have to travel south to see more for the southern horizon there. And that's unfortunate because you do see there's also on the page there are the two what are called the Magellanic Clouds, named after Magellan, the Portuguese captain, navigator, sailor, around the world explorer, and he found and saw for the first time and recorded that in his logbook these two he mentioned them that they looked like clouds in the sky, a faint cloud, and that's why they're called the on the left the LMC and on the right the SMC, and that just means the large Magellanic Cloud and then the small Magellanic Cloud, and actually those are two separate galaxies that you can see every night of the year if you were down in the southern hemisphere. So that's just what all that is showing there. Okay, so let's go back to our calendar, and that was Hydrus, and then we're going to go down to the next week, and now we have uh, you notice there on Tuesday the 8th, it's talking about what are we going to have? We're going to have a look down in the on Tuesday the 8th, the third item down at 5:44 in the morning is a total lunar eclipse. And what that means is the moon has in its orbit has gone in come into Earth's shadow. And that's where on that page up at the top there on the 8th at 2:04 a.m. is the first contact with Earth's shadow, and it's not the dark part, and it's called the penumbral shadow, and more than likely you would not even notice that anything is happening to the moon, and it doesn't just start and there it is, the whole moon changes over. You will see it as we go on down. Notice that at 3:11 in the morning, then you get to the umbral shadow, and that's the darker part of the shadow, and that's more than likely when you would see off to one side of the moon a little bit that a shadow begins to creep across the face of the moon because the moon is moving in its own orbit in relation to us, and it begins to get darker as time goes on until finally at 4:18 in the morning, then the total lunar eclipse begins. So the whole face of the moon is in the darkest part of our Earth's shadow. And then you see at 5:02 is when we would have for the moon, it would be in what we would call its full moon location in the sky. Now, as time progresses, then you're going to see at 5:44 in the morning that it's the total lunar eclipse ends. And all that means is the dark part of the shadow, the umbral, has moved and on the face of the moon so that you can see, oh, it's not covering the entire moon, and it goes on, and eventually then as we would have that, and because of our location here in Texas at this time, then the moon is going to set on the western sky at 7:01, and that's the last of the total lunar eclipse you would be able to see. If there's other parts in the world where you would be able to see the entire sequence, but for us at this time, we cannot see the entire sequence. So anyway, there you can see that. And then we have our second constellation, and there is Aries, the ram. And so, Cindy, I notice you have it already up. Very good. Notice on here, there is at 31.1 degrees north, which is our latitude here at the planetarium, that, and I've indicated that with our purple line there, that is what would go directly overhead for us. So whenever you're outside, and if you look straight up over you, which is the point we would call the zenith, then you're looking directly up at in the sky what is at 31.1 degrees north. And difference is that this, you notice here, there is no southern horizon or northern horizon. So that means you can see everything, all of Aries, and each time that it's up. Go down a little bit, and the next thing is the Tropic of Cancer, the northern part there, and that's at 23.44 degrees north. And what that is indicating, that is how far north in the sky the sun in its as we orbit the sun seems to rise in the sky, and eventually it reaches there that latitude, and which is called the Tropic of Cancer. Then just below it, at an angle, you see the ecliptic. That is the path of the sun throughout the year, and where it would be, and there's time would be time dates on there if you would look at the ecliptic, and where the sun would be at midnight. Of course, we can't see it, but that's in relation to what we know as how as it travels throughout the year. Then finally, down at the bottom there at 0 degrees is our equator. And if you will check on that, you'll notice that I have decided, because I had tried initially to have all of the different lines there the same color. But then that became so confusing for, as we're going to see here eventually, that I said, that's a mistake on my part. So I've started going back, changing the colors that you can make out one from the other that we have. Let's scroll down, Cindy, go on down to the last page. Keep going. Then what I also include down there in the part of the page where it says interesting information, and there in color is a description of each of those things that I have on that page. We start with the planetarium's latitude, and then the Tropic of Cancer, an explanation of that, the ecliptic, an explanation, and the equator, an explanation for those. So to help you as you see on this. And for just as another little aside thing, if you want to view all of the constellation Aries, notice that you have to be at or between the two separate latitudes that I have indicated. And we have to be between the North Pole and on down to way down to the south. You see that. So for Aries, we have no problem. We can see all of Aries the times when it's visible in the night sky. All right, thank you, Cindy. Let's go back to the calendar and we'll continue on. There's Aries. Now, on Wednesday the 9th, the planet Uranus, which is the farthest of our planets that you can see without binoculars or a telescope. Now, scroll up to the top of the first page there, if you would, Cindy, all the way up. Notice what I have underneath the date. Every astronomical event listed in this calendar can be seen by just looking up in the sky, and binoculars or telescopes are not required. They will help, of course, but you do not need them. Just go out there with your eyeballs and take a look. And so what we have. Now, Uranus is the farthest of the visible uh, planets that are in our solar system. There is one that's further, Neptune, but it's farther away, of course, and also it is its brightness, or what we call its magnitude, is below the ability that we can see it with just our eyeballs. The only way you're going to find it and see it is you're going to have to use either binoculars or a telescope. And so that's why I didn't put Neptune on there. Now, Uranus, however, is at what is called opposition. Picture in your mind you're on Earth, you're at nighttime, you are looking out in the dark sky. In other words, you're looking out through our shadow of Earth. And you're standing on Earth. In essence, behind you on the other side of Earth would be the sun. And you're looking out into the night sky, you're going to find Uranus there in the shadow of our night sky. And because Uranus is so far away and so it is very large, but it's only going to look like another little bitty star. And the only way you would know that you are seeing Uranus is that you would need to find what constellation it's going to be in and know which stars are there at all times in the constellation, and you're looking for a trespasser, and that would be planet Uranus there. It is possible, but you need to be completely away of any city lights. No moon is out also. Notice the day before on Tuesday the 8th, what is it? We got a full moon. Well, I debated, do I want to put Uranus out there? Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it, but I'll just clue you in. You ain't going to see it because the full moon is going to wash out the night sky to a great effect. Now, on Thursday the 10th, we have our next constellation, and that's Fornax, the furnace. And so Cindy already has that. Let's take a look. And you go up there and notice the only thing we have, On the outline of the gray area, notice up there to the left and right near the top, it says minus 10 degrees, minus 10. You go down, it says minus 20, minus 30, minus 40. In other words, with a minus, we're looking in the southern hemisphere. We are looking in the part of the night sky that is down below, if we want to call that, below the equator. And notice we have with our blue there, we have the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, if you remember earlier, we had on Aries, we had the Tropic of Cancer, and that is in for our northern hemisphere. Where is the sun at the highest time of the year there? At that highest point, that's when but that our spring ends and our summer begins. Now, the reverse here for Capricorn, as we go on into October, November, December, that there's eventually going to be in December, about the 21st, that the sun will seem to stop, or the term is the sun stands still. That's the idea of it that we have there, and that it's the lowest it is for us in plotting it in the sky, and so that is ages ago, centuries ago, that happened to be in the constellation of Capricornus, and so that's named then the Tropic of Capricorn. Uh, also, we do not have on the Fornax nothing about the southern horizon, so you will be able to see all of Fornax anyway. And there is something there on the left in the white. There's the Huduf and the Exodus. Whatever. What in the world are those two things? So, Cindy, let's scroll down and let's look at our second page right there. Okay. Tropic of Capricorn, da 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 da, and then HUDF, the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. And there's a big paragraph about what we did with the Hubble telescope in the sky back in 2003 and into 2004, and that's called the Hubble Deep Field. And they came back with it, if you will, at a later date, and for some reason I don't have the date down there, but they took some extra uh, number of pictures, if you will. And notice on the second line of that over to the right, it says it's composed from exposures over 22 and a half days, and, which is 2 million seconds. And they kept taking picture after picture after picture, and was able then to find additional galaxies further away and up to 13.2 billion light years away. And Cindy already has up, and so let's go to that picture. Cindy, here is what the ultra deep field looks like, if you will. Go ahead and click
I
on
was
that.
trying to find them. I had them in different orders. Okay.
That's okay. Here's the ultra deep field. And if you want to scroll just slightly down a little bit, and that's good, in there. And what you are seeing are galaxies. All of those are galaxies. Now, also, uh, we don't see any stars on there in our own system. And the reason I'm saying that is because normally when we would be looking there, you would have like crosshairs on that star there. But all of these are galaxies, and in different shapes and all. Scroll back up to the top of the page for there, and we see how far away. It's approximately 13 billion light years away. And what I remind people is anytime you look in the night sky, you are always looking into history. Example, we never see where the sun is. We see where the sun was 8.5 minutes ago. We do not see where the planets are. We see where the planets were from a certain amount of time. It took the light reflected off of the surface of that planet to reach us here on Earth. We don't see where the stars are. We see where they were when the light the radiated out from that specific star, that sun, and how long did it take to get here. And so you're always looking into history. I get a question every once in a while from someone will ask when we're looking at an object a long ways away, usually for one that comes to mind is the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the one that you can see again without binoculars or a telescope, very faint, but you can see it, and it's 2.3 million light years away. And I'll get this question. Is it still there? Well, wouldn't know unless something has drastically happened to it. We won't know for another 2.3 million years to find out what change there was. So history is involved for you be able to see anything and how far away is it from us. Now, we have, go on, Cindy, real quick. There's the extra deep field. That was our other one. And they did some more work, and so very similar. And these pages are all, there you go, the extreme deep field. And it added about a 13.2 billion light years away. And there's you some more in there. And so these are on the pages on the Astronomy Lib Guide that you can take a look at and see there. And like again, what I'm saying, that everything you see is a galaxy. And some of these you can tell that they are larger and they have different shapes and everything. Well, because they are at least closer to us, we can see their shape. The further away they are from us, it's harder to see their shape. And some of those are just pure little pinpoints. Our technology has not allowed us yet to be able to pick up separate stars on distant galaxies. Notice uh, up toward the top in the top center, if you see there's some very, very, very faint little pinpoints of light. Those are galaxies, but they're so far away, all we can uh, see at all via the Hubble telescope, it's a pinpoint. So until technology improves, that's all we're going to be able to see on here. All right. Thank you, Cindy. Let's go back and we have Aerodynus, the river we want to take a look at. And here we go. And let's see, the furnace. Okay, we have that. I'm skipping ahead. Now, let's go to the scroll back up just a little bit. Saturn is going to be what's called its east quadrature, and believe I have a picture or a drawing of what those positions are. If not, I'll make sure I'll get it in there for the lib guide. And this is the best night of the year to view the planet Saturn. There on Friday the 11th of November. and we'll be able to see it then. Okay, let's go down to our third week, and then the moon is at its apogee location. We've already had the perigee earlier, and the apogee gives you a clue. It says that it is the eighth farthest of the 13 apogee or apogeal moons for this year. We have 13 times that the orbiting of the moon around us, there are 13 orbits that we can, pardon me, we can uh, see what's happening there with the moon. Now on Wednesday, the 16th, you see their moon is continuing on the third quarter. But then look, what do we have on the 16th? And Cindy, you want to mention about this one?
Yeah, this is the December night sky tour, the virtual night sky tour that we're having here because we wanted to get it in before the Thanksgiving holidays. So we'll
Okay,
be learning early about our December night sky tour.
sure. So uh, October, November, December makes things kind of shift around, and it's important for you to find it. Be sure you take a look at the calendar, and we'll have that up for you.
Yeah,
Now,
let me show real quick. If y'all are interested in what times or you forget what times, then it's on our events page. And here's the dates of the night sky tour.
mhm, good, very helpful.
Okay.
Okay, on Friday the 18th, we have our next constellation, Horologium, and it's the Pendulum Clock. And so we'll see this, and there's not a whole lot of stars for it. Yeah, for us to find, but we do have this. Now, notice on this one, Horologium, you see where the southern horizon is? It's down toward the bottom. So that means everything above that line we can see. But stars, if you will, listed there for horologium, stars 1, 5, and 6, you're not going to see them unless you go south to take a look. But you can see a portion of horologium. Okay, let's go on.
When
Go ahead.
Let me ask, when they go to the planetarium, are they able to see all these stars that they can't see here with the naked eye?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
we do because we can move and uh, where we want to call where our position is. We can change it anywhere. We can say at the planetarium we're going to go to the South Pole. We can go to the South Pole, and you get this what it would look like if you were at the South Pole. We can go clear up to the North Pole and do the same thing there. So we're not restricted, and we can show the entire constellation of Horologium. And
Cool.
there, okay, good question.
Thanks. Thank you.
Sure. Then if you notice there on the Saturday the 19th, because of Thanksgiving, my time for the planetarium presentation has been bumped up to Saturday the 19th instead of being the last Saturday of the month. Now let's go to the 20th, and we have our next constellation. That's Perseus or Andromeda's hero. And if you come to the planetarium as we get into November, December, I will tell the story, which includes Perseus, and it says the rescuer or the hero of Andromeda, and I will include all of that in the presentation and telling you the story. Then you will get the opportunity to be familiar with a certain portion of the sky that will give you a good eight, probably, and maybe even more constellations to become fully familiar with. as we go along, especially into the winter time period. Now, notice on Perseus, we have a number of things. Perseus is far enough north that we have the northern horizon. Now, what's different here, because the northern horizon is, we are in the northern hemisphere. And all that is saying is that when we look in the sky, that there is what is below us, what we can see, everything above that northern horizon, you can see every night of the year. And it's a great big circle there, centered on the North Star Polaris, that you can see every night of the year because it's above our northern horizon. Let's go on down. We have Perseus there with him. And notice Perseus is just right next to, look to the right of Perseus, and you see Andromeda, the daughter, the princess of the mythical country of Ethiopia. And at the foot of Perseus, there is our latitude, the planetarium's latitude. So that latitude is directly overhead, and that gives you a perspective. To see Perseus, you're going to have to either lay down and look up in the sky, or uh, bend your neck to look up and see there. Then we go down and we have just the bare part of the Tropic of Cancer, and then there is the ecliptic that we have. So let's go back to the calendar and see if we can hurry up, and I'll get us through here. And on Wednesday, the 23rd, the moon goes on. It's now in the new location. And it's just mentioning that to you because we can't see the new moon because it's in between us and the sun. And we're looking at the dark side, if you will, of the moon. So you can't see it. Then we have Thanksgiving. Then we have on the 25th the perigee moon when it's closest to us. Let's go on to the 27th. We have then the constellation of Reticulum, and that is the telescope's reticle, if you will, or crosshairs that you would look in there. And we'll just say that connecting all that, maybe that's the crosshairs uh, in the telescope, but I'm just connecting the stars to help us. However, it really doesn't matter because look where it is. It's below our southern horizon. So we're not going to be able to see it unless you go south. Sorry about that. Go back to the calendar. We're going to continue on, and the next one is an equatorial calendar, and that's called Aerodynus, and it's the river. Now we're going to see that, so let's go to Aerodynus. And in relation to it, right, it's good right there, Cindy. Very good. Notice to the upper left of Aerodynus, and there is the constellation of Orion. And at the top of Aerodynus and going across the middle part of Orion is our equator. And notice how that long river going south or starting from the south, your choice on that, and it's down and it's just above our southern horizon. And that star down there, Achenar, is a very bright one because the only way we can distinguish how bright or its magnitude of a star is on a map like this, um, the only way we can do is make the black dot for the star be larger. And you see over to the left, we have another one that's brighter because it's a bigger black dot. Anyway, so we have all of that. Let's go back to the calendar. And we're about to finish up, and we have here on the 30th, we have the moon as it's going on its first quarter uh, position, its location in the sky. Then let me mention something here that happens predominantly through this time period each year. Notice it says at 8 o'clock that night, on that Wednesday night, that the planet Mars is going to be nearest to us here on Earth for this year. Now we get questions, we get phone calls because there is still on the internet, because whatever was on the internet stays on the internet. Someone sent out on the internet many years ago that on a certain night that the planet Mars was going to be the closest to us in for centuries and all, and it's going to look like that it would be as you when you look at Mars, it's going to look as large as the moon. Well, that scared a lot of people because if that really happened, we have a problem, a severe problem here, because Mars has left its orbit and it's encroaching on us. Well, the problem is the person who put that initial internet statement out forgot a part of the original statement. It should have said, and we would say the same thing here, on 8 o'clock that night on Wednesday the 30th, that the planet Mars is going to be nearest to Earth. It's going to look larger in the sky than before, and will look, and if you have a telescope and you look at Mars, it can look maybe as large as the moon, but you have to use the telescope for that to happen. And that was what was left out. And so we have then the old Orson Welles, what was it there? The Mars expl I'm trying to think of what it was.
The
Where,
radio,
yeah,
the
the
radio
radio
show when the Martians came down.
yeah, and it was initially a radio story or program, and it was fictional. And at the very beginning of it, they mentioned that this was fiction. Don't get alarmed. Well, as time went on during the show, uh, people would call up and tell their friends, "Hey, you need to see this. This is pretty interesting." And so people would go over and look at it, and oh my goodness, they didn't get the first part that this is a fictional radio story. And unfortunately, some people, unfortunately, um, took their lives
Mhm.
uh, because they thought that Mars had invaded, the creatures on Mars had invaded us, and that was a sad result there. But that's not happening here. I just want
No,
you to be aware of that.
no, no.
Okay, so that's November. Then we'll be looking, of course, at December. And I believe that's about our time. I say 1 o'clock now. Are there any questions anyone called in, or do we have?
Well, let's see. Alyssa, was there anyone who had asked a question?
No,
No
it's no
questions,
question.
she said. Well, and again, I'm sorry we started off with the wrong calendar, and I will get the present calendar on the lib guide within about 10 minutes. But I did want to this is not happening. Okay. All right. I did want to go over some of the events that we have going on for the rest of our week here. Tomorrow we have our poetry slam and open mic. if you go on our Facebook, a little further down, there is a link. If you want to be involved in that, you have got to register. You can't just show up and perform. So you need to send in your registration by the end of tonight so that we have you on our list for tomorrow. It starts at 4:30. You can do poetry, song, dance, stand-up comedy, whatever you'd like to do. And it's for 3 minutes. So you get 3 minutes to do it. So make sure you register tonight and we have it tomorrow at 4:30. Then on Monday, we have another philosophy and popcorn. It was rescheduled due to Monday's holiday. You guys, y'all come and see what it's about. It's 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And we ask you a question, a philosophical question, and you get to answer it. It's very rare that you get a chance to answer something and not be interrupted by someone. So here's your opportunity. Check it out. It's a really interesting experience. Then next week we have our prescribed burns. Fort Hood is their environmental science group is coming to um, go ahead and explain to us why they burn stuff up. We always see it being burned up, and they'll be able to explain it then. Just continue to, hit our events calendar, and you can see what we have coming up. We still have a lot more to do. All righty.
Okay.
So,
Cindy,
all right.
if you want to mention, you sent out the email for veterans and those in the military to write a statement or whatever. Do you want to let them
Oh,
know?
yes. Yes, we are actually looking for people to share their life story, something about military history. We are going to be, our theme, this year's theme was environmental science. Next year's theme is going to be military history. And so we are looking for anyone who is interested in sharing their military history story. Just call the library and let them know, and they'll get your call to me. The number here is 254-526-1621. And just let us know. I mean, we have really interesting stories that we're already lining up. A journalist during one of the wars. We have someone who is representing the 688th Division during World War II. It was the only African American division in the Women's Auxiliary Corps. So, but it could be that you were in the military and you just want to talk about it. You don't have to be famous about anything. Just let us know you're interested, and we're setting up live streams and pre-records. So if you don't want the live stream where we have the wrong calendar in a live stream, we can go ahead and do the pre-record, and we can come to you. So yeah,
Uh,
thank you for
yeah,
reminding me about that.
sure. Good friend, when I got that email from you, Cindy, I thought about him. He is retired and he was in, we'll just say, special forces. And he has been to places where we didn't ever go. Okay.
Okay. Well,
And
and
he's
yeah,
got
but
some
don't tell us
stories.
military secrets.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this should be very interesting because a lot of our viewers are on military bases or retired or they're currently in the military, and we want to make sure that you guys are being heard.
Yeah.
So it should be really interesting.
And he
Mhm.
said he was interested and he's going to send or correspond with you as far as the procedure and all like that. So looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thank you, and thank you for being patient with us. We had a snafu. We had the wrong year. So once we were able to get the right ear put on, we were good to go. So thank you guys again. And Warren, thank you so much for all of your insight and your knowledge. Guys, y'all go to that planetarium. It is just awesome to sit there and just look at the stars, and you can just, see the universe right there right there in the dome. So not the whole universe, so right,
Sure.
Warren? That'd be a lot of
Yes. Yeah.
universe. All
And
right.
also on the LibGuide, we didn't say anything. Anyway, go to it, and the section that Cindy has put in is called Extreme
Yes.
Stars, and I think it should be uh, uh, easy to understand when you look at it of what the information I'm giving to you there. So on your own, go there and explore.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot of cool stuff on that lib guide. Let me show you guys really quick where you can find it. On our library page, go down where you see where it says research study guides. And we have literally every subject over here at CTC. But the this one is on astronomy and Mayborn Science Theater. And
Mhm.
that's where they have all the cool stuff. So,
Very good.
Warren, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to next time. And again, give me about 10 minutes, everybody, and I'll have the right year on the Live Guide.
All right.
All right. Well, y'all have a great week, and we will see you next time. Thank you.